Holy crap, we got a lot to talk about today. We got a sling of tweets from CDPR, a few YouTube videos that they uploaded going over their long-term product outlook, and of course a zillion articles have been written about everything that's been said. There's a lot to go over about the future of The Witcher and Cyberpunk. Some of it's pretty damn exciting and worrisome, and I will leave chapter markers below. Let's jump right in. Might as well get this out of the way quickly for those of you who may not be in the loop. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is of course getting a next-gen console release, which is still planned for this year, 2022. Basically, this is a remaster to better represent modern-day graphics, and if you already own the game, you will get a free upgrade, and this also goes for PC players. This next-gen upgrade will include both expansion packs, so Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, all of the previously released DLCs and patches, and a new DLC inspired by the Witcher Netflix series. We don't really know what that entails. I guess we'll find out soon enough. And for Cyberpunk 2077, in 2023, there will be a major expansion called Phantom Liberty, which is said to be a spy thriller expansion set in an all-new district of Night City. Now on to the exciting news, the future of full games at CD Projekt Red. The first 3 releases in the pipeline will belong to the Witcher franchise, and CDPR has already started production for 2 of them. The first project is going by the code name of Sirius, and it's actually being developed by a studio called the Molasses Flood, which is now a CDPR studio. I wouldn't get too excited about this one just yet, as
it will differ from our past productions, in the sense that it is targeted at a broader audience. Along with a single-player experience, gamers will be able to play with others, as Sirius will contain multiplayer.
So yeah, targeted at a broader audience is not typically the words that, true gamers or true RPG lovers love to hear. For all we know, this could end up being a mobile game. The interesting thing is that it will be set in the Witcher universe, and it's also going to have multiplayer alongside a single-player experience. For myself, I'm more so excited for, the next upcoming Witcher single-player experience similar to The Witcher 3, and we're going to talk about something like that here very shortly, but this one doesn't appear to be it. So I'd definitely hold back your hype and maybe remain skeptical about this one until we get some more information, but who knows, maybe it'll turn out to be a gem. The second project in pre-production is codenamed Polaris, and this is the project that most of us can probably start getting excited for. This game will be opening up the new Witcher Saga, and it will further expand upon the open-world storytelling known from The Witcher 3. This saga is planned to be a trilogy, and after Polaris is released, whenever that might be, they plan on 6 more years of development to finish off the trilogy. Now that's what I like to hear. It seems likely that Polaris is the game that CDPR teased with their picture of the School of the Lynx that they released back in March of this year. Polaris will be the game that lays the groundwork for the trilogy, so kind of like The Witcher 1. And unlike Sirius and the next project that I'm going to talk about in a second, Project Polaris is a full CDPR game. They're not going through another studio, so this sounds like it's going to be their baby. The biggest question is, what story and character will we be playing as? Will this game be an entirely new character, custom character? Perhaps we'll be playing as Ciri for the trilogy? What time period will it take place in? Maybe we'll be playing as Geralt again, which I personally don't think is that likely. There's a lot of questions that are still to be answered here, but this seems like the project that most of us on my channel are probably going to be most looking forward to. Their third project in the Witcher pipeline is codenamed Canis Majoris. This is separate from the trilogy that I just talked about with codename Polaris, and this is going to be developed by an external studio, but unfortunately we don't have any more information outside of what I just told you. Other important news relating to all of this is that CDPR will now be using Unreal Engine 5 for their game's development instead of Red Engine, which was their own engine. I do like to hear this, as CDPR will be able to focus more in on their game's actual development instead of engine development. Now on to Project Orion, and this will be the next Cyberpunk game. Just like Project Polaris, Orion is a full CDPR development, and that's going to, in quotation marks, fully release the potential that this universe offers. So wow, CDPR has quite a lot in store for the future. It's pretty exciting, but I'm also a little bit worried that maybe they're going to lose touch with the actual gamers. Who knows? But we're not done yet. There's a third entirely distinct IP that is codenamed Hadar. CDPR says that they started thinking about this one a few years ago, and early stage conceptual work commenced in 2021. The interesting thing about this project is that it's the first time in CDPR's history that an IP is being incubated entirely within CDPR. So most of you are probably aware that the Witcher world and a lot of its story comes from the books written by an author named Sapkowski. And Cyberpunk 2077 is primarily based off a tabletop RPG created by Mike Pondsmith. For Projekt Hadar, this will be completely CDPR's creation. They're currently only focused on writing the foundation of this setting at this time, so this project appears to be a long ways away. It'll definitely be interesting to see what genre they end up going with. Will it be fantasy or sci-fi, etc.? Of course, personally, I'm hoping for another fantasy setting. Now, the news is not quite over just yet, because we have to talk about multiplayer. Some of you guys may have noticed that CDPR did not specifically say that any of those games were single-player games. So here's what they have to say about the future of multiplayer.
While we believe that our games and worlds we create within them are telling great stories that impact many, we also believe that letting gamers interact with each other will create new experiences for them. By doing so, we do not want to make the single-player experiences smaller in any way because of that direction.
Now, obviously, everyone is going to have mixed feelings on this subject, but do note that he said most and not all. But considering that the new Witcher Saga is 3 of those upcoming games, there's definitely a chance that the game that most of us are probably looking forward to, Projekt Polaris, might be more than just that classic single-player Witcher 3 experience. I'm personally trying to stay optimistic about this because the idea of playing The Witcher 3 in a co-op experience, if it can maintain the same quality as the single-player experience, sounds like it could be a lot of fun. But the problem is, and I think many of you guys on my channel probably share this feeling, when a developer ends up dividing resources between single and co-op and trying to make it work for both styles, many times it often lacks in both departments, especially the single-player department. And the fact that that CDPR employee, crap, I forgot who that was, whoever it was that said that, he's obviously important at CDPR. He said that the single player experience is not going to be any smaller because of this, to try to reassure us that things are going to be okay. The choice of words of saying it's not going to be any smaller was not really a good choice, in my opinion, because most of us care much more about the quality versus the size. So yeah, your future games aren't going to be any smaller for the single player experience, but are they going to suffer in other areas like quality? Have no idea. Make sure to remind yourself, though, that we don't know which of these games is going to be single player, and perhaps CDPR has like something interesting in mind that won't really affect that single player experience too much, such as making the next Witcher Saga have online Gwent capabilities. So maybe you have like the single player experience, but when you go into a tavern and sit down to play Gwent, there's something like online matchmaking capabilities for the card game specifically. Or perhaps the co-op experiences or the multiplayer experiences will be completely separate from the single player campaign. Or CDPR is just literally developing all of their games to be these co-op story experiences. Definitely let me know how you feel about this below in the comments. I know everybody's going to have an opinion. Holy crap, there's a lot going on with CDPR right now, and they're even talking about doing more TV shows, and they mentioned like Hot Wheels for Cyberpunk. I don't know, they're getting really big and they're expanding into a lot of industries. Hopefully this is a good thing and not a bad thing, because I can kind of see CDPR maybe turning into EA or Ubisoft with their lack of focus on single player games, but I don't want to jump the gun too fast. I do believe in second chances after the rough Cyberpunk 2077 launch. I think if the next game that they release is really solid and brings us back to the Witcher 3 days, I think a lot of people are going to love CDPR. Once again, they'll give them another chance. But if they release like a mobile game as their next game or something like that, like, oh man, who knows where this is going to go. Regardless, very excited for this new Witcher Saga, which is Projekt Polaris, and I will be covering all of this on this channel, of course. I should also point out that they did mention quality several times in their videos. Like, they kept making a point to say, like, we're always going to be focused on quality. Now, pretty much every company says that, but I don't know. If you want to believe them or not, we're going to find out. I'm staying optimistic. CDPR, I think, is a fantastic company overall, and they made some very memorable experiences. So, yeah, catch you guys on the next one.